If you don't build some redemptive elements into your business model, it's very hard to incorporate them later. Not impossible, but do that early. Design it in. Design is such an important thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Welcome to the Workmatters Podcast, where we have conversations about the purpose and practice of work. Each week, you'll want to join us to hear from different leaders in different industries and roles wrestle over how their faith intersects their work. So let's dive in. Well, I am just thrilled to have the guest on today that we have. This guy is one of my favorite people. He is known as Mr. Fun. I have traveled with him through Africa. We've seen a lion together. This guy is Henry Ho. I'm so excited to have Henry. Henry is the co-founder and the chief strategy officer of Storesight, which is a technology company built to give CPG brands a competitive edge at the shelf. He's an entrepreneur, aren't you? Yeah. Innovator, mentor, mobilizer. That's a good description of you. Passionate about building partnerships around innovation, vision, and trust. Henry loves to invest in the next generation. He loves God, loves people, builds strong teams and cultures, cares about communities. Henry also, though, this is something you need to know about him. He is a healthy competitor, right? In sports and in games, favorite teams are the Yankees.
Go Yankees.
Go Yankees. Arkansas Razorbacks.
Woo Pig.
Woo Pig. Really loves competitive tennis with his tennis partner, which happens to also be his wife, Nancy.
She's pretty good.
She is pretty good, I've heard. You also, for those of you around there that don't know, Henry is known as the thumbs up guy. So give us a thumbs up. He is the thumbs up guy in every picture. So excited to have. Did I leave anything out, Henry?
You got all the important things.
Awesome. All the important things. So glad to have you. Thanks for being on.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Thank you, Henry, for being here. I just would, you use a word, it wasn't new to me, but you kind of put skin on it. This idea of redemptive business, redemptive entrepreneurship. Could you just give our listener a sense of what you mean by that?
Yeah, in a simple way, redemptive business or redemptive entrepreneurship is doing business with God's heart. Mm-hmm. It's part of doing God's business God's way, but it's also doing it with God's heart, with redemptive ideas and designs around how you do business, how you can use the work that you do to make a huge impact in the kingdom, in the lives of people, and to change culture. So that's the idea.
Compare that then with ethical business. I think that's probably what we're more familiar with. Compare and contrast those two.
Yeah, there's really three ways to do business. One is exploitive. And in this world, there are many companies are looking to exploit either customers or consumers, even their own staff, in order to make a buck, to maximize profit. These are companies that are underpaying people, work them to death, lousy cultures, and so forth. That's an exploitive way of doing business. The people who are in charge get all the benefits. And in this world, believe it or not, there's a lot of exploitive businesses. The ethical business are people, a lot of corporations are ethical corporations. They do things by the law. They don't mess around with that. They treat their people well. They make good products. Many companies are ethical companies. I worked for one when I was in the corporate world, P&G. I was very proud to work with P&G. They were a very ethical company. The third way is this redemptive way, which is, based on kingdom principles. So one of the key ways is sacrifice. Owners and leaders sacrifice time and money and resources for the sake of their team and to make better products, to deliver something that's truly excellent, not only as a product, but as a service and the way team culture works. So 3 ways: exploitive, ethical, redemptive.
And that that sacrifice you mentioned, because when I heard that phrase and started letting it sink in, when I think of redemption, I think of there's a cost somewhere to someone.
Yep.
And so that would go along with that.
Yeah. Redemption also speaks about redeeming that which is broken. I mentioned some of the things, living wage, and paying above living wage, and treating your people well with benefits, good benefits. Well, that all comes at some cost, some sacrifice, probably to the bottom line. As business owners, we want to maximize profit. But maybe on the redemptive side, we're trying to optimize profit in a way that balances the bottom line with the other facets of the business that we have to take care of.
That's a good distinction.
Yeah.
So, let's stay on that sacrifice for a little bit, because a lot of companies would say, hey, well, we do sacrifice. We sacrifice things for our employees, but there's got to be something critically different between an ethical sacrifice and a redemptive sacrifice. So how does a company, or how do I think differently about that? Do I need to feel it to where it's pinching me a little bit? Talk about that a little bit.
Have you ever made a sacrifice? We all have.
Sure. Absolutely.
So it does pinch you, because if it doesn't pinch you, probably isn't a sacrifice, right? It's something you can give up fairly easily. Not to say that, every dollar of profit isn't a important dollar, right? But a redemptive business is going to put people ahead. I think of a big corporation like Costco. They do incredible amount of business. They are, they're difficult to deal with sometimes. They're very ethical. But they pay their people really well. They have a great culture, and people tend to work with them for a career-long type of engagement. So Costco is known. They've taken one part of that wage, right? But they've been able to do it very strategically, that it benefits their business and treats their employees really, really well. That equation is really important. Paying people well so that they have better than a living wage. Some people think, hey, if I can just pay them a living wage, that's good enough. A redemptive business is going to pay them even better than that.
Yeah. Wow.
But they do it in a really smart, right, strategic way.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the story of you awakening to this distinction and pursuing redemptive business?
I think it started with just this notion that that I wanted to step out in faith and just start figuring out how to do business God's way, And so that started when I was on the P&G Walmart team. I was a charter member of that team. And we had such a great culture. Our team and our leadership at that time really built something that was unique. And we had a lot of believers on the team. Not everybody was a believer, but we had a very open and inclusive team, and we did incredible work together. We broke through all kinds of barriers and created lots of value for our company. And I saw leadership that had a faith and work element of it. And by the time it was my turn to leave, I felt called out of corporate into a life of entrepreneur. And again, I thought I knew. I thought I could see only to a certain part, and the rest of it was just putting one foot in front of the other. When you walk in faith, that's how it really is.
Yeah.
You don't know the end. I still don't know the end, right? 25 years later, but I'm learning every step.
Yeah.
And God is just opening up for me bigger vision, broader vision about what his kingdom's all about and how do you work within the context of that. So
now when you earlier I mentioned to our audience international.
Yeah.
You spent a season in Hong Kong.
I did. Yeah.
You've spent a season in India.
Yeah.
Right?
Didn't live there. But I went
but
there.
Back and forth business, redemptive work there as well. Talk about your time in Hong Kong, your time in India. What did God do in you and all that?
I was born outside of the U.S. I was born in Macau. It was a Portuguese colony, and it was handed back to China in 1999 while I was living in Hong Kong. And Hong Kong was handed back over in 1997. And but it really, I grew up in Long Island, New York. I'm a New Yorker. That's why I'm a Yankee fan. I had grown up in the States and had a very, USA-centric view of the world. And so just going overseas and living for almost 6 years really opened up my view and understanding of what God was doing, and my family as well, seeing just a different part of the world. At that time, China was opening up, and we were seeing the church and government, all these things were happening. At the same time, there was a tremendous opening up of business. And I was sent there to help Procter, develop a strategic relationship with Walmart in Asia. And I had a few other responsibilities as well over there. So, and then when I came back, I had an opportunity to get into and understand through some friends, some investments in startup companies in India with my good friends, David and Mel Murray. We were part of their startup, Join India. And David started Darrel doing guitars. And learning how to go into a place in the world where it was very poor and starting up a company with not a whole lot of funds and still having an idea of trying to figure out how to do business with God's heart now. Doing business with, God's way is very ethical and good, but doing business with God's heart means that you want to sacrifice on behalf of our brothers and sisters in India, in Rajpur, India, where, they were very poor and not a lot of job opportunities. So that was my experience kind of growing up with this concept of how do you do redemptive business.
Now, when you were in India, you and I have talked a little bit about that journey. That was tough.
It was.
That was a tough season in your life of, I think the market was tough. I remember you telling me you had a deal with a major retailer on some rugs. It fell through.
That was in Tibet.
Oh, that was in Tibet. Okay.
Yeah, that was the pre-learning.
That was even before.
that was India. Hey, let me show you some failure before I get you to do the next.
So I was intrigued by that when you talked about that, because it sounded like the way you described it to me, it was like, man, God was really doing something in you through that in Tibet, through that failure.
Yeah.
And through having to close that rug business down. But so talk about, like, what did God in that season of your life, what was God showing you?
For a competitive guy who doesn't like to lose, doesn't like to fail, failing and losing was very, very humbling. It cost us some money, our group of investors, but we were just blessed through that failure because we saw God doing the work, and we had probably a somewhat distorted view of our role in it. It felt like we had to do something so that we could, win the people over for God, the common Tibetan people for God. And God showed us that business that we were starting, that we thought would be the vehicle to employ Tibetans and whatnot, was the way. And, through the housing crisis here in the U.S., the big order that you referenced, we had gotten a major multi-million-dollar order for a bunch of rugs that we're making. We were high-fiving each other. It's like, man, this is great. And what really happened was, through that financial collapse in the United States, nobody wanted to buy rugs. And so our multi-million-dollar order got canceled. And when that happened, we ran out of money. It was obvious that we didn't know how long this crisis was going to last. So we had to figure out how to shut the factory down and let people go. But to do it the right way, in an ethical way, So we continued operations to wind down the factory, pay our severances and so forth. And that was really hard. When closing down something is really hard. You lose money. That's one thing, but your ego takes a hit. And in the midst of that, what I shared with you, Brandon, on our trip was that God caused an earthquake to happen in the city of Yushu. And lo and behold, the people we were trying to reach was reached by a different group of Christians, Chinese, the church in China. And we got a report back that said there was worship in the high place in Yushu. And that was frankly a really, really humbling experience, but joyful at the same time that God had done his work and he didn't need our rug factory.
Oh, wow.
And there's a lot more details behind that, but basically God showed us he was God and we were just a bunch of business guys trying to do our best, which he rewarded us with that notion that he was able to do that. Yeah. But out of the ashes of that failure really is what came out is Join and Joycore and the work
in India.
Yeah, in India.
Wow, that's neat. That's neat.
You used the phrase "just a bunch of business guys."
Yeah.
What would you say? We have listeners that are just wading into this idea of faith and work, who probably are sitting there thinking, "I'm just a business guy." What do you say to that?
Man, I love the fact that we're just business people. Yeah. Because in the marketplace, business people are God's instruments, right? To reach the nations, to reach their company, to reach their, town or community. Us business guys are called to do work in a way that glorifies God, right? Sometimes it is through our failure and sometimes through huge success. I would submit to you that the huge success is probably harder to do it in because then the world wants to lift you up rather than lift God up. But in the failures, God shows his hand. He's there with you. And for me, it was like, okay, we failed, but there's more to come. And now you write the history of the last 15 years and wow, what an amazing story. My wife, Nancy, and I just saw Dave and Mel this week, and we were recounting God's goodness in the midst of that. So it's good.
Yeah.
I love what you just shared because we've talked.
Yep.
Betsy and I had a restaurant.
Yep.
It totally failed. But out of that, boy, did God do something good in us personally, in our faith with him. Out of that, there were so many lessons we learned that even now I feel like I'm able to pass on to other people as well, and then learn from that, leading this organization as well. Failure and redemptive work, they can live together. They can live. They don't have to, if my business fails, if I'm failing as leader, but I have the heart of God, the posture of my heart is toward doing God's work, God's business, it can still fail.
Yeah.
But God is still God. I love that you said that because so many of us out there, we have tried. We've tried to work for God. We've tried to do redemptive work. And sometimes it just doesn't work. The numbers don't work out sometimes.
Yeah. There's a real temptation to get bitter through failure. The old saying, don't get bitter, get better.
Yeah.
And I really believe that we've gotten better. But it took some time. David and Mel were part of their own set of challenges in working overseas and whatnot, and some difficult seasons. And, but time and perspective on looking back on our journeys, really you start seeing God's hand, God picking us up, God showing us a new way, pointing new opportunities. And so what I would tell people is failure is part of the business. Man, some people may have the golden Midas touch, but they probably haven't told you the failures that they've had.
Yeah, probably.
You know, we talked about when we were over in Africa, you know, the 10-year overnight success.
I love that phrase that you
Most
use.
people want to see only those successful years, like right now, like, hey, that must have been amazing what you've done. Yeah, like I grinded for 10 years, right? Or 15 years or 20 years before, I achieved any level of success.
10-year overnight success.
That's how the world wants to see you when you're successful. That you're an instant success. The reality is we all have 10 years of grinding, as we learn. And for people working in companies and corporations, you have to put your time in. You have to learn the ways of the company and the ways of the marketplace, the ways of your suppliers and customers. It's all a learning process, and it takes some time before you know what you're really doing.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's obvious you're excited about this whole notion. But consider, maybe project out like the unique opportunities we have now. I mean, even that have changed since 15 years ago. What really excites you as you look out ahead about what we've been talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the world's changing really fast. I don't have to tell anybody that. And at Storesight, we rebranded the company from Field Agent to Storesight, and we're bringing the whole notion of putting AI on top of data that we collect in stores, and then giving people some really unique capabilities to understand the why of things happening in stores. Before Storesight and Field Agent came along, it was like, hey, we have POS and we have shipment data, but what was going on in the store, and that was much of black box. We're now lifting that black box and showing people what's happening in stores. And so there's change that's coming as driven by technology and AI, but there's still this human touch. There's this human ingenuity and human innovation that's going to drive this thing forward. And so we're transforming our company overnight, almost. And we're positioning ourselves for that. We still need great leaders, and we need leaders with boldness and risk-taking and all those things. But the AI is certainly going to help us be much more efficient and handle repetitive tasks and take care of our customers better and so forth. So it's a crazy, exciting time to be in business and to be in life. It changes every aspect of society. Just about.
Wow. Henry, I'm listening to you. I'm a listener out there. I'm listening, I'm watching, and I'm intrigued by this redemptive work idea, this redemptive entrepreneurship idea. How do I start? How do I even start thinking differently? What should I do different?
You guys might have heard about the Cold Shower Club.
Yeah, I have.
Darrel, have you done it yet?
I have.
Okay.
The first time you talked about it, I took the challenge.
Yeah. I'm 11 years. And so what I would say is figure out how to get outside of your comfort zone. Again, anything that's by faith or by sacrifice is not going to be comfortable. I made the mistake of trying to use the Cold Shower Club in Africa. That didn't resonate. They take cold showers every day. Us here in the U.S., get outside your comfort zone. Hey, if you work a company, go look at places where things are broken and how you could potentially make a difference. In a personal life, go into other parts of your town, your community. See where there's some brokenness, some injustice taking place in your sphere, and go and learn. Go see what's happening, and I can guarantee you, if you see it and you connect that to what God has to say, He's going to start moving you, right? And so redemption comes at redeeming that which is broken. I want to give you a good example. There's an organization in Northwest Arkansas called Circles Northwest Arkansas, and they work by helping people lead themselves out of poverty. And the the organization did some work with the community, and they said, "What are some of the things that are broken around you?" Well, if you're poor and you're working hard, lots of people are saddled with really high, almost predatory loans. And so transportation is a much needed thing in Northwest Arkansas. It's not a dense, housing kind of community. So everybody needs a car. And to work, you need a car, but they're saddled with these great debts, sometimes at 15, 20, 30% kind of rates. And for us, that's not even something, we might complain if we get a 7 or 8% loan, know. But Circles looked at it and said, that's broken. And we want to develop a program that will help people get better loans. We will credit counsel them. We will help them figure out put a program where we can partner with banking institutions to help them build credit and so forth. So that's a great example of a redemptive program that looks at something which is broken and says, hey, let's bring people together, look at solutions, and then work towards a solution. I
love that.
That program has been in the making for over a year, and they're about to launch.
Oh, let's go.
That could completely change, the very important side of somebody who's working and trying to make ends meet, because a broken car means a really bad thing for people. So that's an example of a redemptive effort on the kind of the nonprofit side. On the business side is I love spending time with young entrepreneurs, and I always tell them, build redemptive elements into your company when you're building your company. It's really hard to kind of throw something in the middle of it, right? Because you got investors, you got a lot of people. If you don't build some redemptive elements into your business model, it's very hard to incorporate them later. Not impossible, but do that early. Design it in. Design is such an important thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So search for what's broken right where you are. That's a great place to start. And what's broken in the world where you live. That's another one. And redemptive entrepreneurship, implement that redemptive work early.
Yeah.
A lot easier than later with intentionality. I love that. Yeah. Well, Henry, we're really thankful for our time with you today. I've got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
So we're wrapping up our time. So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Favorite tennis player of all time?
Oh, Jimmy Connors.
Okay. I thought you might say Andre Agassi. Okay. Or Pete Sampras. All right. Here we go.
Michael Chang.
Michael Chang. There it is. One
Chinese
thing,
brother.
If you were to start a redemptive company, what industry would you go into?
Boy, I have this death wish to be in the food business.
Restaurant. We talked about that.
I know how challenging it is, but I love the idea of starting a great restaurant. In fact, I've got a business plan. It's just that my investor partner, my wife, she says no.
I love it. All right. What color theme do you have this year? Because I hear you have a color theme every year. Do you have one this year?
I do.
What's your color?
It's coming up. It's like the month of September, October is when I pick.
Okay.
It shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that's seen our rebranding. Yeah. It's purple.
It's purple. It's purple. All right. Last question. Who will win consistently every match? You or Nancy?
Boy, I just wish you didn't ask that question. I think right now she probably would. There was a time where we were kind of splitting, but she plays like 5 days a week. That's no excuse for me.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she probably beat these
That's
days.
great. That's great. Well, Henry, thank you. Thanks for being on. Hey, we're so glad that you joined us on this episode. Again, redemptive work, redemptive entrepreneurship. You need to reach out to Henry if you want to just talk. He's great about that. Loves to have a coffee.
Yes.
To talk about this subject as well. But again, thank you for being on with us. We're really grateful.
This was really fun. Thanks.
Thanks, Henry. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for the Workmatters Podcast. To continue this conversation about faith and work, please share it with a friend. Make sure you subscribe to get notifications when we launch new episodes. For more information about the work we're doing at Workmatters, and how we can best serve you, visit us at workmatters.org.